Peter Bedford.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Cross-party working is essential to ensuring public confidence in a system that we will all need to use in our twilight years. That is why we on these benches are ready to work constructively to improve this legislation and, where necessary, provide that critical friend approach and challenge the government's own thinking. When it comes to pensions and the long-term financial security of our constituents, we should not play party politics. It is in this spirit that I raise my own concerns with the bill. The bill does not focus enough on increasing the amount of money flowing into people's pension pots, something that we cannot quite literally afford to ignore. I am proud that it was the last Conservative government that led the introduction of auto-enrolment, a significant pensions reform that dramatically improved individuals' financial well-being in later life. The 8% contribution was a game-changer. Yes, of course, the system relies on inertia, but for the first time, millions of workers began saving for their own retirement. But we must now confront an uncomfortable truth. That contribution rate is looking less adequate by the day. Too many of our constituents are heading towards a retirement without the income that they will need. For example, the Pensions Policy Institute have highlighted that there are 9 million UK adults currently underpensioned. Madam Deputy Speaker, inaction is not an option. We are allowing people to sleepwalk into a retirement crisis. The level of auto-enrolment contribution was never intended to be a silver bullet, but instead it was conceived as a foundation, a starting point for pension savings. Importantly, that foundation was once supported by two key pillars. First, defined benefit schemes, which offered guaranteed incomes to many. And second, higher levels of home ownership, which provided an asset to fall back on in later life, but both of which have significantly eroded over the last 2 decades. And I'm afraid to say that the 8% auto-enrolment on its own is woefully inadequate, and many workers won't realise this for their own financial circumstances until it's too late. I believe it would be all too easy, to simply raise the auto-enrolment rates to some arbitrary level. But we'll find ourselves back here in 15 years' time having the same conversation about a system where inertia and disengagement continue. If we truly want lasting change, we cannot solely focus on the percentage, but we need to dramatically improve how people engage with their savings. This starts with improving financial education. As a sponsor of a private member's bill on this precise topic, and as a chartered accountant by background, this is a cause that I place great importance on. Shockingly, although perhaps not surprisingly, Standard Life have highlighted that 3 in 4 people do not know how much they have in pension savings, and this needs to change. Through increased engagement, but also allowing savers increased control of their own savings, people should be able to easily view all their pots in one place, which is why it is a little frustrating to have seen delays in the rollout of the pensions dashboard, which I know many honourable members have mentioned in this debate. The pensions dashboard, in my view, will encourage individuals to make active choices, to understand their options and to assess whether their current savings are enough for their desired lifestyle in retirement.
Will he give way?
I will give way.
Mr. Blackman.
On that note, I'm wondering if he agrees that we should also make it easier for people to understand what a defined contribution scheme pot actually means for them in retirement. How much income will that get them on a monthly basis or on an annual basis, rather than just this is the value of the pot?
Peter Bedford.
I think the Honourable Member makes a really, really important point, and that goes back to financial education, ensuring that people truly understand their pensions and their savings. Increasing savings is important, but we need to make sure it is driven by individuals who understand and can shape their own financial futures. Other countries have looked at increasing incentives for saving. South Africa and the US have schemes enabling people to draw from their pension pots in tightly defined circumstances, such as for emergencies and for investment opportunities. Such flexibility would increase confidence in pension savings and help address the other concerning fact that 21% of UK adults have less than £1,000 set aside for emergencies, leaving them susceptible to economic shocks outside their control, and in turn less likely to prioritise savings in their pensions. Poor pensions adequacy, Madam Deputy Speaker, doesn't just harm retirees, it has serious implications for the state as well. As our life expectancy continues to rise, the state's pension bill will continue to increase. Benefits like pensions credit will increase exponentially as a lack of adequate private provision leaves more and more relying on the state. As we saw just last week, it is often incredibly hard to reform welfare. As a Conservative, I believe that the answer lies in personal responsibility and encouraging and helping people to build up their own private pension provisions for the benefit of themselves, their family, and ultimately for the rest of society.
Will you give way?
I'll give way.
Great. He's making a very strong speech and some very strong points. Would you agree that the alarm bells that he's ringing about financial education and under-provisioning of pensions and longevity is even more stark and even more alarming when you put it next to the demographic change that over the next 30 years will see the drop in the number of workers per pensioner plummet? I mean, we're going to go from about 3.6 at the moment to well under 3 by 2070, which means that even if pensions aren't enough, the country won't be able to afford to plug the gap as it does at the moment.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. And my honourable friend makes a really compelling case. And as I said in my speech, it goes back to financial education, ensuring that we all understand the implications of pensions adequacy. Now, I want the House to understand that my specific concerns around adequacy does not mean that the bill doesn't have its merits, because it does. The continuation of Conservative policy, small pots consolidation and the creation of megafunds are sensible reforms that will increase individuals' pension pots through the reduction in dormant pots and increase economies of scale. But, Madam Deputy Speaker, I believe this is a missed opportunity for a government with a large majority to act bolder, to move faster and to improve pension adequacy throughout the UK. I would like to see a clear commitment from the government that they are actively looking at improving pensions adequacy. The Labour Party has long since professed to be the party of workers, yet some will be looking at this bill in a sense that it does not go far enough in preventing the UK declining into being a society funded by welfare in retirement. Let's encourage people to strive, work hard and save more for a better future. I very much hope that the government will work collegiately with Her Majesty's opposition during committee stage to work cross-party to ensure that our constituents don't sleepwalk into a retirement crisis.
Yeah.